All right, so a ton of news coming out today from the PlayStation camp and really just about every camp in gaming. Yeah, it's a pretty big day. So there's been multiple interviews and news droppings. There was a tiny bit of a leak that happened also when it comes to all the PlayStation side of things. So we're gonna jump in. We're gonna actually check out all the information that has been officially announced and stuff that was leaked. The reason why I say leaked like that is because if you're paying attention, the leak documents actually all the information that's on there. We've already been hearing about it from both game developers and people in the industry like Hideo Kojima. They've all been dropping hints that they're working on different projects alongside PlayStation and some of them also alongside Microsoft too. But there is also one major thing of the leak stuff that came out. So this all ties in with like three different articles, but this also ties in with PlayStation Productions, the opening that they do. So let's jump into this and read through everything that is going on with all this stuff. So first up, we'll travel over to the Router Routers website, and again, all these websites, a lot of times they'll throw stuff out there. They just write it and they throw it out there just to, get the news article out there. And I will say this: always take everything that is said, unless it's said directly from PlayStation and Sony itself on their official websites. Take anything that is said on any one of these websites with a grain of salt. But we can actually make sense of what may be and what may not be. So let's check this out. The PlayStation Eyes new investment for PC mobile push. We've been hearing about this, PC and mobile gaming. Sony wants to get more into, especially the PC side of things. Mobile gaming is a huge one though for making money. Sonic Group Corps. Let's yeah, there we go. So yeah, it's like let's just look into this because as far as I know, this is like trillions of dollars. But is it Japanese? Oh, okay, so it's Japanese. It's like Japanese yen, and then you gotta convert it over to our side of things. Yeah, Sony is worth a epic shit ton. So gaming business is looking at fresh investment to bolster its push into PC and mobile. Senior executives said as the PlayStation 5 maker competes for talent with deep-pocketed rivals. As is, I'm gonna put my glasses on. Computer glasses, that is. So further investment in areas that will strengthen the expansion onto PC, onto mobile, and into live services. I really don't care for the live service thing. I don't mind PC and mobile. PC is very, very cool because we can mod stuff. Mobile, sure, if you ain't got a PlayStation, or if you're just in that, I make fun of mobile all the time, but if mobile can get some really cool games that, I mean, at this point, PS1, PS2 games can run on a mobile phone. It's kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, like the mobile phone is more powerful than the PS2 at this point. So if you can get a lot of those old titles onto mobile and people buy them, and that makes more funding for those, for those development studios and everything, or at least for Sony to be putting back into, those IPs and everything. That's super cool. But yes, Herman Hulst, head of PlayStation Studios, told Router in an interview, providing further details. Again, so these interviews are also done, weeks before, and then they go through editing and all that stuff. And, sometimes stuff gets put out of context. That's why I say, unless you hear it directly from PlayStation, Sony's blogs being written by the people themselves, always be like, okay, there might be an update to some of this stuff. Sony, whose studios are known for single-player console games such as Spider-Man, God of War, has outlined ambitious plans to release titles on PC and mobile and offer live service games, which provide continuous updated play. Right. So live service games are always online stuff like MMOs and, like PlayStation Home was a live service, thing. Warhawks, I think it was called Warhawks, something like that. Any game that is always online, it's called Warzone is, Fortnite, all that stuff. Those are live service games. Anyways, Radical Shift is reflected in its recent deals, including the $3.6 billion acquisition of Bungie. So that was a pretty big one. Sony literally made Bungie the development studio. I mean, a lot of people that are working at Bungie, I don't think worked, like maybe half of the studio maybe worked on Halo, the Xbox rival to, PlayStation. And Sony went and bought them up. So that's, yeah, behind the multiplayer. So they're doing Destiny now, which I think, like I said, I think it's maybe half the team, if that, it worked on Halo. It's mostly all Destiny crew that they bought. Sony operates outside of its PlayStation Studios network. And that's a really good one to say, that it's a network. It's not just like Sony owns it and that's the end all be all, because it is really a network where every studio works together in one way or the other, and helps each other out if they need help. So other investments include the purchase of a minority stake in Japanese developer From Software, whose action role-playing games Elden Ring has sold more than 16.6 million units. It's a very good seller. Just saying, good stuff. Good stuff. Now, can we please maybe get something to do with this? So you should think of collaborations on the game development side first and foremost, but it's not unthinkable with the PlayStation Productions efforts that we explore opportunities. So PlayStation Productions is different than PlayStation Studios. Productions is... Okay, so when it comes to PlayStation Productions, we have this. Now take a close look at all the games that are being shown off in this. So let's mute and put this at playback speed, half speed. So check this out. So we have Uncharted, which we had an Uncharted movie. Next up is Horizon. There is talks of a new Horizon show. I do believe it was Amazon. So they've already had a Ratchet and Clank movie, and they could end up doing another one. It's definitely easily, we could see something else Ratchet and Clank come through. So God of War is in here. We haven't heard anything of like a TV show or a movie or something of God of War, but they could easily do maybe an anime or something, that is on the same level of like a Cyberpunk Edge Runners. This is a very curious one because we haven't heard anything from God of War, but Ragnarok has been a thing too. So talking about productions wise, so again, they could easily do something with God of War, whether it be movie or anime or, like a prequel anime to Ragnarok, or maybe even showing, what was going on with Kratos before God of War. And then, of course, we have the HBO show of The Last of Us, and another one, Little Big Planet over here. We haven't seen anything movie-wise or TV show-wise, a Little Big Planet, but it has come to PC. There's no reason why they couldn't make like a kids show or something of Little Big Planet. Why not? Hit all the markets, So a lot of the stuff that has been coming out of the PlayStation leak, and that's why I say leak like that, is, we've seen a ton of this stuff already. They've already shown us that they're working on stuff. The other one is like Kojima, working on a game with PlayStation. Of course he is, because Death Stranding was so damn popular. So yeah, efforts, we explore opportunities, said From Software investments. And why would you not invest more in From Software when Elden Ring did so good on the platform? They have Bloodborne easily. So Sony is producing a growing number of game adaptations this year. Uncharted Movie grossing more than $400 million globally. So I liked the Uncharted movie. I didn't think the characters were perfect for, the character. Like, Drake wasn't bad, Peter Parker, man, was Tom Holland? Yeah. So Peter Parker playing Drake, okay. Mark Wahlberg playing Sully, it didn't feel like Sully whatsoever at all, but 400 million globally, that's good business. The Last of Us TV show on HBO next year. Again, it was in the logo. What else we got? Also, Hulse, who is based in the Netherlands and took up his post in 2019, has overseen the growth of PlayStation Studios to 19 studios. Yeah, they've like PlayStation Studios has been expanding the network, but in doing so, It's partly for PC, ports, which, I mean, Spider-Man's, PC port was really well done. Days Gone being on PC was really well done. Horizon being on PC, it had some hiccups, but it's gotten to a really good place now. So we'll see what ends up happening. Oh, Little Big Planet is coming to PC. And I do believe The Last of Us is going to have some PC ports. So all these different studios making all these different PC ports. It's good seeing it because, again, whenever there's a PC port, if you're a PlayStation fan, like a hardcore die-hard PlayStation fan, like you bleed blue, you should want the PC ports to happen. You should also want the mobile ports to happen too, because every time those ports end up happening, there is more money being thrown back into your platform of PlayStation. So that's a very, very big thing to keep in mind. Also includes Nixus, which port console games with PC and mobile developer Savage Game Studios. So, given the scope of the transformation targeted by the gaming business, and I also expect further deal makings from Sony, yes, there is still one more AAA studio that Sony is finalizing the deal on that we heard about middle of this year, or maybe it was like early of this year, that we still have not heard about as far as we know. What my big guesstimate was, it was either Square Enix, Capcom, or From Software. They did put a bigger stake into From Software, so that could end up being like they end up being like, well, it's a PlayStation studio now. If this Activision Blizzard deal goes through, which we're getting to, the strength of PlayStation Studios networks has drawn praise as a key differential from Xbox maker Microsoft, which is trying to buy Activision Blizzard. So there's a huge difference in between PlayStation Studios acquiring different studios of developer studios and Activision Blizzard, which is a publisher that owns a bunch of different studios. It's like taking it's like Activision Blizzard has all this whole network of different stuff and all these different licensed IPs of games and everything. And Microsoft is just like, we're going to buy this one and we're going to take all of this. PlayStation is coming through and they're like, okay, that one little studio right here, we like what you're doing and we think you have more, if you have some more funding and you have some more development time because of more funding, we think you can do some really cool magic on our platform. Would you like to partner? Sure. Okay, cool. Then they buy them out. And then they put them underneath PlayStation Studio. Sometimes not even buy out. Sometimes just partner. And when that ends up happening, that studio can end up focusing so much more and making the product so much more than just what it would be if it was third party and having to go through, a bunch of different shareholders and everything. Cyberpunk was a major thing with CDPR, the shareholders, because people got so antsy about that. I hate to bring up Cyberpunk as like this, elephant in the room because they have brought it back so well. Also, be on the lookout for another video talking about all the Cyberpunk news that's coming out today. But I've been playing Cyberpunk on the PlayStation recently, so it's in my mind. So Sony Game Chief Jim Ryan has raised objection about the 69 billion mega deal's potential impact on PlayStation users. If Sony can pull off what they did with single-player experiences, but as multiplayer experiences across the platforms on the PC, on console, and maybe even on the phone, then all bets are off, pointing to the success of online gaming such as Fortnite from Epic Games. Yes, and that is if they could bring back like SOCOM, U.S. Navy SEALs, and make it into the big success that like Fortnite is, that'd be huge. And if it's only exclusively on the PlayStation and PC, that's huge. Can they do it? It's possible. It's very possible. Will they end up doing it? Who knows? And you never know what is going to be successful and what is not, especially in the grand scheme of things. Fortnite started off as just a tower defense game, and then all of a sudden Battle Royale dropped, and it was just right place, right time. There was nothing like that Battle Royale of Fortnite's experience. Boom, it blows up. Can SOCOM or like Killzone come through and do maybe like a Battle Royale or something, and do something very different than what it's done before and make that same experience? I think of SOCOM being just like a AAA, big budget, very well done PUBG in a sense. There's a lot of potential there for something really, really cool to happen. So Sony's push on other platforms comes as it has struggled to produce enough PS5 units due to supply chain snarls. Its in-house studios are also developing titles for next-gen PSVR 2 headset due to launch early next year. Yeah, hopefully that won't get it won't get delayed. But if it does get delayed, we have so many games coming out next year. It's gonna be hard, like just trying to find the funding enough to get a PSVR 2, let alone probably even just get one because of shortage issues. Such headsets such headsets, which have attracted investments from players including Facebook parent Meta, are yet to break through and become a primary method for playing games. Pricing for the device has not been announced. And in all honesty, when I was just playing, so Horizon Forbidden West, which launches in February, open world, not necessarily very, very suitable to a PSVR 2 game. Designed bespoke, Horizon Call of the Mountain. So I was just saying this when I was playing Resident Evil. You can find the video on the channel, actually. I was playing Resident Evil 3 and modded, it's an RE3 remake with mods in the Quest 2. And it was so just crazy being inside Raccoon City and running around as Jill and everything. But to me, it's just like, where everybody's like, well, put your game in first person for immersion. No, VR is like that ultimate immersion. Okay, so let's actually check out. So PlayStation recent investment into From Software might include. So let's keep the PlayStation news going here. What am I doing on time? Okay, this was going to be a little bit of a long video. So Sony might be interested in helping produce movies and TV shows based for if it's by way of interview of routers. I'm just seeing if this interview has anything different. Recent investments into Elden Ring developer From Software. So yes, while Sony has a 14% stake in From Software, that's not quite enough to make decisions independent of the studio's other investors like Tencent, which acquired 16% of From Software around the same time when Sony invested. So while PlayStation Productions might be interested in a Bloodborne horror movie one day or an Elden Ring TV show, its other investors would likely need to give the green light as well. That really sucks. So Sony, and this is the thing where everybody's like, well, Sony can just go and make Bloodborne remastered happen or make a sequel to Bloodborne happen. They can just go and they can just end up making. No, they can't. There's so many investors in From Software that something like a Tencent, which I'm not the biggest fan of Tencent, but yeah, they would have to give the green light on it also, and then that means they also will get a percentage. 10% for doing pretty much no fucking work whatsoever at all. They get a percentage of the funding too, which is and that in that point, Sony's probably like, why do it? Then we can just come up with something brand new. Just like Demon Souls. Guarantee you all the investors that are a part of From Software also got a piece of the cut of Demon Souls sales for the PS5 launch. Sucks, but that's just kind of the way it goes. Other investors would like to give the green hand. We're hoping though, because From Software's properties, be it Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, something else, seem ripe for an on-screen adaptation. So if they make a TV show out of Bloodborne or Dark Souls, that'd be really, really cool. A movie would be kind of crazy also, although I'm kind of feeling TV shows are better for gaming adaptations. Again, though, if they did something like a CGI, just the amount of CGI that you'd have to do in a live-action movie anyways, if they just did a full-on CGI, think of it like Love, Death, Robot, but in just full-on Bloodborne, and do something where it's like, that really, really cool gaming graphics basically as it is, but it's just, like a TV show format. I would love to see something like that for Elden Ring, especially like the whole Shattering War and everything. I'd love to see it in DLC that I could play through, but I'd also take, a TV show of it too. And we get to actually see Queen Marika and, see how she talks and how she ruled. And we have no idea on that stuff. It's not in the Bloodborne, or it's not in the Elden Ring lore at all. But again, too, even like Dark Souls, there's still probably some potential there for something really cool to be made. Because there is a lot of, big shout out to VaatiVidia's. They do a whole bunch of, that whole crew that he works with and everything. They all do awesome lore videos. And Vadi, he goes through and just tells you so much lore and all this, from software world building and everything. It's awesome. So let's see, one more Axios, Sony PlayStation, why it matters, winning games. So let's just see if there's any other information in this one. New console cycle 2020 launch, begun expanding. Yes, we know. PlayStation Studios head is centrally located to orchestrate expansion efforts, combine the work of some 4,000 developers across 19 studios from Japan to California. A lot of people working on PlayStation games, which is awesome to see. And that's another one too. Like Sony does have a bit of a one up on like Microsoft, not so much Nintendo, but Microsoft especially, because they Sony is Japan and PlayStation is technically really Japan also, even though a lot of the development studios are in the US. PlayStation started in Japan. They're one of their main headquarters is in Japan. So if they want to get a development studio like or a publisher even like Square Enix, where Square Enix. So this is the weird one. Also going back to publishers and development studios. So if they end up buying Capcom, say, those studios all work together so much that it's almost like one network of just like it's the same game engine. It's just everybody kind of works together to make the RE engine work so well. And then Square Enix also on top of that too, like they're working, side by side one another with like FF14 live service, and then also FF7 and FF16. Everybody's kind of working together to make all these assets and to make the game engines all work as well as possible. They're all, and what I mean by working together is they might not be working on the projects themselves, but they are giving hints and tips to each development team of like, oh yeah, we figured out how to make that work. Here's how we did it. Maybe it'll work for you guys also. And that's something that you don't get with every single kind of publisher of stuff. It's like, Bethesda Studios is, Bethesda in-house is very different than id Software. Even though they're both owned by ZeniMax and, well, now Microsoft, they do very different things. They're two very different studios. Where Square Enix, Capcom, From Software a lot of times too, they end up working a lot of times all together, underneath their own, Square Enix studios working together, Capcom studios working together. I mean, hell, even the Street Fighter 6 is being made on RE Engine. I mean, they're getting pointers from the Devil May Cry or the Resident Evil team also. They are Monster Hunter and all that stuff. So yeah, it's kind of cool seeing that 4,000 developers across 19 studios from Japan to California, diversifying now, and we have stood up 12 projects in total in the live ops multiplayer space. So 19 studios, 12 projects with multiplayer stuff built into it. Nice. Live ops or live service games are usually multiplayer designs. In all honesty, if there's 19 studios and there's like 12 projects in between these 19 studios that are multiplayer, and not everything is a single player AAA big budget story driven thing, that's good. All I need is like one AAA game to come out a month. I'm set. I have so much of a backlog. Everybody has backlogs nowadays. And then you have, your Game Passes, your PlayStation Pluses and all that stuff with games that are also adding to backlog. We just need like one or two good, really solid AAA titles a month. Maybe even every other month. That's cool. So yeah, live games such as Fortnite, Apex Legends are among history's biggest hits, which is very true. If it's free to play, so that's the big thing that you got to remember between Fortnite and Apex Legends. Hell, even like Multiverses, the fighting game that just came out recently, that's a lot like Smash Bros. If it's free to play, it has a good model of being able to unlock stuff in game while doing the free to play stuff, and then also Game Pass and not be oversaturated with microtransactions. That's the one thing about Call of Duty. It's oversaturated with microtransactions pretty badly. And I don't see that changing with Activision Blizzard being bought out by Microsoft. If anything, it should probably get worse because Microsoft is all about microtransactions. It's all about Game Pass. Um, so yes, if like I said, if Sony can do something that is live service that keeps up with Fortnite and Apex, that's gonna be great for Sony. They'll come from newly acquired teams such as Haven Studios. Yes, so Haven is a studio that is headed by. Oh, that's very cool. They're bringing me over to here. This is Jade Raymond's studio. Jade Raymond's studio. Yeah, one of the creative forces behind the Assassin's Creed series. And then, of course, Firewalk. Firewalk is... trying to remember which studio that was. Firewalk studio is... Phantasy Star Online. Okay. Or no. Wait, hold on. What do you guys make? Deeply talented team brought to life, or people on the team has brought. Okay, producer on Guitar Hero 3, BioShock Infinite, Mass Effect, Apex Legends. Cool team. That's a pretty cool team. I like that team. Many of Sony's top developers like making them and will continue. Oh, blockbuster single player narratives driven games. Suchi says yes. Some of Sony's biggest titles that they put out, like The Last of Us Part 1, it dropped and it sold huge, and that was a rebuild of a game from 10 years ago. I can almost guarantee Horizon, if they put the accessibility options into Horizon and actually rebuild that, it's going to sell also huge with anybody who's never been able to play a game before, because they just can't physically do it. Let's see here. On PC, it's released 4 former PlayStation 4 games for robust sales. Yes, God of War, Days Gone, Horizon, Spider-Man, Death Stranding also. Like I could count 5, 6 of them that sold very well. Mobile is growing slower. No titles announced. Okay, Sony will also make games for the PS4 despite only having PS5 exclusive console games announced beyond 22. We certainly don't want to forget the millions of active players on PS4, and we want to ensure that they're... okay, so this right here, I will definitely say, if you're still on the PS4, try and get over to the PS5 if you can find one and you can afford it, because I see it only happening for like another year or two. By 2024, I'm pretty sure this statement right here is going to be done. Yeah, like there's millions of active players on the PS4, but in the next 2 years, they're going to be like, okay, come on over to PS5. Because in all honesty, the more that this stands, that they're, that they are still trying to make games, downgrade for the PS4 hardware, the more development time that gets taken away from the PS5 and like the future game development. So, and we've seen this over and over and over again. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish they could have like a secondary development team come in, but it's just like we know that there's a part of development teams that get pushed over to making sure that games are compatible with the PS4 and optimized for PS4 hardware. Or again, the Cyberpunk thing happens, and the game will come out and it's like, ooh, this is not running too well. We're evaluating it on a case by case basis. Yeah, like I said, by 2024, I'm pretty sure they're going to be like, okay, come on over to PS5. If you don't have one, then what are you doing? Cause rise of creating blockbuster. Most of the bigger teams have grown in recent years. Bring titles to PC. Scrutiny over how blockbuster games are made has intensified as well. Numerous investigation reports about the industry in recent years describe overworked developers, crunching long hours, unhealthy degree. Flagship studio Naughty Dog. So yes, I hear a lot about this, and then I hear the developers themselves be like, we need the crunch time or we can't get it done. That's just the way it works. I want to look at our professionals as people. They have balanced long-term careers with proper career progression. His teams are trying to tackle the issue with nuance. He floated that an experienced art director might decide they want to work on a Saturday to polish something. Am I going to say no? Well, it's a bit more complex, because what if his entire team then feels obligated to also go in? So what that means is that we need to have the conversation with the art director and say, That's about the game, but there's also your team. So if one person's doing a lot of work and somebody else sees it, they go, well, I could do some more work too myself. Yeah, yeah. It's the creative field. If you're a content creator, you go through the same thing of like, okay, how much do we want to work ourselves this week? If there's a ton of news stories coming out, and you have like 4 videos to end up making. Like today, I have a ton of videos to make. This is the first one of like 4 of them, I think. Yeah, that's you end up spending a lot of time working on this stuff. Same thing happens in game development, but it's even on a bigger scale because now you have shareholders and you have millions of fans around the world and everything else, all being like, "Get it done! We want the game now! Ah, where's the the release date and all that stuff like the God of War team had." Yeah. It's just gaming is it's a very rewarding thing when it works out, but it's also very like with the fan base sometimes. And then the fan base also, they make really cool fan art and cosplays and everything. So there's this like balance between like and I love this thing, it's, or you get this is the most terrible thing ever, and you just worked years on the projects. It's like in July, a developer for Naughty Dog Remake tweeted that the game was their first crunch-free experience in their career, praising changes at the studio. Well, that's good. That's good. Jeez, that's good. Hulse's team has dizzying sets of priorities ahead of them, including delivering games for the early 23 launch of PSVR 2, formidable tasks to figure out live games, and will benefit from the experience of top studios in that sector, such as Bungie. I would really love to see Bungie not just do Destiny, but also help out with making. Again, imagine if Bungie helped out making like Killzone and brought that back, and then that was like their big free-to-play live service game where Killzone Online, whatever the hell you want to call it, has this whole like TDM and Battle Royale and all this different stuff. That'd be so cool. Sony live ops effort with racing games. GT7 hit a snag after it had to correct an unpopular update tied to virtual car prices. They corrected an update with that? Really? We've got to listen and learn and react quickly. Yeah, that's what we've learned. That's what we're learning. Did the car prices go down GT7? I grinded like crazy to try and grab a Ford GT. That was like the legendary Le Mans Ford GT. But yeah, lots of good news out of PlayStation there. Again, the leak list that happened, we've seen a lot of it. So like that, we've already known about a lot of that stuff. So, yeah. Keep your eyes peeled and open and out there for more PlayStation stuff popping up, because we're just going to see more TV shows, and we're going to see hopefully some more remasters of very popular games. But again, it's not only up to PlayStation, Sony, it's up to, the shareholders of all these different companies, the publishers. And yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. But anyways, go check out the rest of the YouTube channel for lots more videos of Let's Talks, stream replays, and more. And yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to see when all the videos go up live and all that stuff. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. And as always, I will see you next time.